that was probably the lowest point of our season. Those couple of days leading up to the Marquette game, you could see, it was difficult. The energy level that we normally have, and it starts with Nika, and she didn't have it. So those 2 days leading up to Marquette, Monday and Tuesday, there wasn't that normal fire in her, and the rest of the team, they felt it as well. And when the game got off to a pretty good start for us, and we thought, well, hopefully this will be an easy game and we won't have to grind it out and play 40 minutes of, physical basketball after what we'd just been through with South Carolina. And when the game turned into that, I think we were shot. But that's on the road in February. So there's games in February, there's games in January, and then there's games in March. And, I don't get too excited about games in February. I worry more about are we getting better so that we can be really good in March. And that's kind of been the philosophy around here for a lot of years. We put together a schedule that will guarantee that we lose, and some years, we don't. But it's not because, we didn't schedule teams to lose. So you get to March, it's not the same. That's all there is to it. It's not the same. Playing a regular season game in February, that's one thing. Playing a tournament game in March, that's a whole different mindset that you have to have. And you almost have to have two kinds of teams on your team. Right on your own team, you have to have almost two kinds of teams. You have to have a regular season team, and then you have to have a tournament team.
Here in the front row, and we'll work the microphone around. We've got a couple other questions.
Hey, Coach. T. Baker with The Next. Good to see you today. Aubrey Griffin seemed to do everything for you today, scoring, rebounding, stealing. Can you just talk about how her playing like that changes the dynamic of your team?
No question. The big question always is, when is the next time we're going to see that Aubrey? And if it's tomorrow, then whoever we're playing is going to be in a tough spot. Because when Aubrey is like that, there really isn't much on the basketball court that she can't get accomplished. And she impacts the game at every level. And hopefully her confidence level is really high right now. I haven't talked to her about this specifically, but sometimes, when you have alternatives, and the kid knows, hey, look, if I struggle a little bit, I can come out, get my bearings, and then go back in. Whereas when we didn't have any options, she's out there on an island playing poorly, and it just gets worse and worse and worse. So I think her mind is in the right place right now, and if we can get that from her, the rest of this tournament and beyond, we're a completely different team. Completely different.
In the back row.
Geno, two strong performances in this tournament. It was just 6 days ago when you seemed to have some pretty deep concern for where things were headed, and some criticism of yourself, of your staff, of your team in general. Maybe you've already touched on this theme a little bit in your previous answer, but what's the difference? What's changed this week for you? Is it more than just recognizing the moment?
It's mostly that. It's each team is different. There have been times when we finished the regular season on a high and go into the Big East tournament, on a high, and we roll right through it. I thought this past Monday, I guess I just needed to vent that I was tired of using the excuse of being tired, that the team was tired, that we're mentally fatigued, and we're physically fatigued, and we played too many minutes, and this and that. And I wanted to get that out there for the team so that's it. That's the last time we're discussing that. That's the last time we're using that. And practices, even though we didn't have many of them, practices were a little bit different leading up to this tournament. We may have been guilty early, throughout the season, in that we're treating them like they're fragile, because they are. Every time somebody falls down at practice, you start to go, oh boy, there goes another one. I think after the Xavier game, we took a couple of days off, and when we came back, it was like, it's back to the old days. Going to their mattresses.
All the way here on the left.
Back to the old days.
Geno, a double-double for Nika, 400 career assists today. We always know how tough you are on your point guards, but how tough is Nika on you?
How tough is she on me? Not as much as freshman year and last year. I think them coming in on the bubble year was really, really difficult for everybody. And I can be tough on her because she wants that. She appreciates that. She responds to that. She is confident enough in who she is to tell me exactly where she is relative to me. This is what I think, she says. And I like our point guards to be like that, because it's supposed to be a collaboration. It's not supposed to be, I say this, you do that. It's supposed to be, this is what I want. Now you tell me how you're going to get it, and then you're going to tell me why you didn't get it or what we need to do different to get it. Not just say, yes, yes, coach, yes, coach, yes, coach, yes, coach. She's not that. And I appreciate that about her. And each day she's becoming a little bit easier to coach. She's less hard on herself. So I've really enjoyed this year with Nika, and I hope we have a long run in the NCAA tournament, because she's a feisty kid who never wants to stop fighting. She never wants to stop competing. She didn't have to have an offensive foul on that kid today at underneath the basket. She already had the layup. But that was a classic Shea Ralph move. Drive here, I could just shoot a layup, but you know what? It won't be as much fun unless I whack this kid. There's just some people are like that. What can I tell you?
Dom over here on the left.
With all these qualities that you've talked about with Nika and the difference between March and other months, other games, is she maybe uniquely built for this? Is she made for that difference between March and the rest of the season?
Some people are. Some people are. Nika has more confidence than game. Like, there's things that she thinks she can do on the basketball court that she can't do. But she doesn't know that and doesn't care. So her confidence level is, I can do anything on that basketball court. And the bigger the game, the bigger the moment, the more pressure, doesn't faze her one bit. So if you have a leader like that on your team, that does rub off on the rest of the players. You know, she's running out of the tunnel and you're following her. That's a pretty good person to follow into what's coming next.
Coach, you guys almost scored more in the paint today than Marquette did in total, and you had another dominant game in the paint yesterday. When you think about how much players are sticking to Lou Lopez, Shanae Shaw closer on the three-point line, other players in general, how important is it for your team to continue this dominance heading into March?
Well, we need one or the other, but preferably both, right? So we either have to be a terrific three-point shooting team like we were in November. I think we were number one in the country for the longest time, November, December. I can't imagine we're still there now. And I said that we have to score more in the lane or it's going to catch up to us. And I think they're both related in a way that the threat of us scoring in the lane gives us more threes. And scoring in the lane allows us to play any way we want, actually, because not every shot that Lou or AZ or Nika or anybody else takes now is life and death. We're going to get that rebound. We're going to get a bucket and a foul. So it just cleans up a lot of stuff when, and I explained it to the players, you know, everybody always talks about how important guards are in basketball, including me. You know, I always say, you can always play with 5 guards, but you can't play with 5 post players, right? And you see around the world, you know, the game is changing and people are playing more with, you know, players that don't have a position. But at the same time, the game has its played here in college still. You have to have a tremendous presence in the lane at both ends of the floor. And today, that's exactly what we did. We didn't let them have anything in the lane like they had the first 2 times they played us. And we got whatever we wanted in the lane against them. So when you're doing that to people, it's kind of demoralizing a little bit, you know, because they don't want to have to go in there and trap and leave AZ and Lou open. So it was just an all-around great performance by, you know, Aubrey, Leah, and Dorka especially, the 3 of them. They were terrific.
Okay, we got time for 3 more. We got back row and then 1 each in the front. We're going to let them go.
Geno, could you just talk about the defensive intensity of your team? Block shots, steals, they really, the last couple of days have been on point.
Yeah, you watch enough basketball and you realize that the best team in the country is going to struggle against an average team in the country if they walk the ball up the floor every possession and the final score is going to be 60-55. So how do you create opportunities for yourself that don't require the grind of, you know, every screen, every cut, every pass is contested? Well, I think you have to force some turnovers. You have to play great defense, and you have to control the boards. And then you need a point guard that pushes the ball up the floor. So all of our offense, all those 81 points, came almost directly off of what we were doing defensively. And that wasn't the case towards the end of the season with everybody. That's why our point production went way down. We went from being in the 80s all the time to then we're down in the 60s for 6 or 7 games or whatever it was. It's because we weren't making anything happen on the defensive end. And that's been a big difference the last 2 days.
Okay, last question here, front right.
Gino, can you give us an update on AZ and Caroline, and are you going to have to manage their minutes coming up the rest of March, or tomorrow, or at all?
I don't plan to, unless somebody tells me I have to. I don't plan on it. I think these first 2 days were mainly let's get back in the swing of things for AZ. She could have played more minutes today, and maybe if the game was closer. But I just wanted her to get enough, just enough, and then add maybe a little bit more tomorrow, so that when the NCAA tournament comes around, it's not the first time she might have to play 30 minutes. And what really helps is if Aubrey plays the way she played today, then that gives us the luxury of, managing that even better. And with Carol, getting hit yesterday, it all depended on this morning how you're feeling. And she says she felt pretty good and gave it a shot, and then we'll see how she is tomorrow. But I would expect that by NCAA tournament time, she's going to be just like everybody else. Whatever minutes we need her to play, she'll play.